the Arizona Cardinals going to San Francisco to face the 49ers, who are laying 1.5 points in this game. And these are two teams that are, I'll call them technically undefeated, right? I mean, they're both are undefeated, but they've come against some, the 49ers win over Seattle was impressive, but it relied on a little bit of luck, I would say, in terms of that game-winning touchdown by Brock Purdy. And the Cardinals have benefited from just a pretty abysmal, just one of the two tomato cans for your first two opponents in New Orleans and Carolina. So, there can't be too much that's gleaned from that. But, this is a game where Mac Jones is Purdy back, or is Mac Jones still going to be starting this game?
Should be.
It's going to be Mac Jones again. Roll Tide. So you got to factor that in. The 49ers are favored in this game. I think a lot of that has to do with Christian McCaffrey, who has looked great again this season. He's rebounded. So as long as he's staying healthy, they're going to have great offensive production from him. That's a given. And you can win with a quarterback like Mac Jones. This is a kind of a hard game to pick. I'll go with the Niners just based on the fact that they're at home. Their defense has played very well. I think Robert Saleh has done a great job. And, I think this Cardinals team has shown you that they still have a few things to figure out on offense, especially in the passing game. When you have weapons like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride, finding the best way to make use of them. I think that right now the 49ers, even with Mac Jones at the helm, based on these two teams who have, like I said, they're undefeated, but you can't feel great if you're a fan of either team in terms of how you stack up against the other undefeated teams in the NFL. I'm going to go with the Niners in this one. Mike, what are your thoughts on this game?
I like the Niners in that. More so, I mean, you talk about Mac Jones having to take over the helm of this game. The 49ers defense has only let up 17 points per game on average over the last two games. I mean, they've been playing out of their minds, 3 takeaways right now. Robert Saleh really is commanding a great unit in terms of, especially the guys he's deploying to get pressure on a quarterback, and somebody who it's going to be different. I think this is going to be a lot different in terms of, what are we going to see out of Kyler Murray? We know how he plays under pressure. We know what his game is when he gets outside of the pocket. That's that whole thing. But I mean, you still have Joey Bosa and, Nick Bosa and Fred Warner just kind of being in the middle of what are game-changing plays for this team for the past 2 weeks. They were able to put Spencer Rattler and the Saints away. They've looked every bit as dominant. I don't expect any of that to change. I think this is a defensive front that is going to be able to hold, a guy like James Conner in check. And then it's all going to come down to, making Kyler Murray beat you. But I really think, at the current rate they're playing at, there really doesn't seem to be there is nothing on the offensive side of the ball and the struggles I wouldn't even say struggles, because Mac Jones played out of his mind last game. But in terms of they're playing competent offensive football, you're not forcing the defense to be on that side of on the field for an extended period of time like we are like when we were talking about the Browns game in terms of the time of possession that the other team is having. I think right there, just in terms of the pressure they're going to be able to get and, the disruptors up front, I think there are questions on the secondary. I do like a Trey McBride touchdown this game, but no, give me the Niners. Let Mac Jones give me 20, 22, 23 points, and then I think he can win just about any game.
Any game?
Yeah,
well, hey,
I'm a Mac Jones.
I'm
a Mac Jones.
We got a Mac Jones guy here.
You know who's also a Mac Jones guy? Kyle Shanahan. People forget that in the I don't even remember what draft it was at this point because it feels so long ago. I think it was 2021. Yeah. 2021.
I wanted the
guy
Bears to
that
draft him instead of Justin Fields.
Yeah, well, you would have been. I guess you kind of would have been right or wrong. I don't know, but you forget that the guy that but yeah, in the 2021 draft, the guy that Kyle Shanahan actually wanted instead of Trey Lance was Mac Jones. So this is a guy who Kyle Shanahan at least at some point had wanted to coach, had wanted to pick in the top 5 of the draft at one point. I think he's got a good feel for Mac Jones' strengths and weaknesses, and I think that this line tells you all you need to know. The 49ers have what some would call a backup. I guess what everybody would call is a backup quarterback, and yet they're favored by almost 2 points. I can only look based off that to bet the 49ers here. And you guys already gave Salah his flowers, so you don't need to dig that back up again. I just think that, look, Shanahan's got a plan for Mac Jones. Is he at the caliber of Brock Purdy? Probably not. Is he realistically maybe only like 2 or 3 points worse than Brock Purdy? I could see that just based off who they have on offense and the type of coach that Kyle Shanahan is. So I think this line tells you all you need to know. I can only look to the 49ers here.
Yeah, if you look at the last week, I think the Cardinals got banged up pretty bad. Offensively, the interior offensive line looked terrible. Derek Brown really did baby their entire interior offensive line last week. Not saying the 49ers have that type of interior defensive lineman, but they should have some success up front versus this O-line. And then I just think the injuries on the defensive end of the ball for the Cardinals have just mounted. You know, they haven't had Sean Murphy-Bunting all year. They won't have him all year. No Starling Thomas V. They're now without Garrett Williams, who is a really productive defensive back for them. Will Johnson didn't practice today, so we'll see if he's ready to go. Looks like they're going to lose L.J. Collier as well. Cody Simon in concussion protocol. Max Melton, he's also got a knee injury. He's banged up. I just think the injuries too much to overcome for Arizona this week. And Christian McCaffrey looks great. We haven't had to see too much of Brian Robinson. I think if they jump on the Cardinals early and get a couple scores ahead, I think you could see a Brian Robinson touchdown this week.
And also, I mean, Christian McCaffrey is without a touchdown for the first 2 weeks. So you talk about due.
I think he scored. You think he scored last week? He had a receiving touchdown, I think.
Oh, receiving touchdown. Yeah.
Receiving touchdown.
Yeah.
He hasn't scored a rush touchdown though. That could be coming down the pipe. In fact, but he's always like minus 200. He's always like minus 200 to score. So it's like
I take it.
Sure.
He's going to score.
Just throw it in to boost a parlay up or something. It's a lock.
Last note too, Christian was talking about the injuries on Arizona's defense. You know, it's a shout out, but it's also kind of a dig at Arizona where you're relying on 39-year-old Calais Campbell who's showing out. So shout out to Calais Campbell at 39 years old what he's been able to do so far this season. But when you're relying on him to kind of be your top producer along the defensive line, it's kind of a problem. So I think it does not bode well for the rest of the season, but you got to like it. So shout out Calais Campbell, but they need to figure out some other contributors now that they've had a couple guys go down on that defensive side of the ball.
Can we briefly talk about how crazy the end game was to Panthers Cardinals last week?
Oh my
that had
God,
to be the strangest. They
almost lost.
The garbage. I don't think there's any better quarterback in the NFL than garbage time Bryce Young. I mean, he was just dealing against what was an absolute shell coverage when they were down 22-9. He was just picking them apart for like 10 yards every single time, just total garbage time. And then by the end of it, he had thrown for over 300 yards. if you hadn't watched that game, you'd be like, dang, Bryce Young, he played pretty well.
He's back. Bryce is back. That's funny.
Just wanted to, and they got the onside kick. That was just a crazy end game.
Right.
I actually wanted the Panthers to win. As someone who said to take the Panthers plus 6.5, and someone who did take the Panthers plus 6.5, them getting that last touchdown to bring it to within 5 was meaningful to me.
Hey, that's what you come to Bolton Board Sports
So
for.
thank you, Bryce
Rock
Young.
solid
Garbage time,
picks.
Bryce. Garbage
Who
time,
cares if you
Bryce
need to
Young.
rely on 300 yards of garbage time passing yards and an
It all
onside kick
cashes
to
at the
cover?
window. It all cashes at the window
Hey.
to say it. It all cashes the same.
Makes no difference at the end of the day. Win's a win. So